Today, we're diving into a foundational topic that can set your small business up for success in the new year. Whether you are a solopreneur thinking about adding your first team members, or you're already managing a small team and want to strengthen your people ops, this episode is for you. Building a strong HR foundation isn't just for big corporations. In fact, getting these essentials right as a small business owner can save you headaches, create an amazing workplace, and set your business up for sustainable growth. There are a ton of people who want to leave their corporate careers. This has already been happening. So you are positioned at the perfect spot to bring on some folks who are like, I want to be a part of something small and make a big impact. So this episode is going to set you up to recruit those folks. So let's get started. The first thing I want you to focus on as either that solopreneur who's ready to get rocking and rolling, or let's say that small business owner that has somewhere between 3 and 10 people, but you're like, I need to actually put some foundation in place. So the first area that I would like for you to focus is on your hiring and recruitment. One of the biggest milestones for a solopreneur or small business is hiring your first employee. But before you dive into job boards and thinking about where you're going to post it, I want you to take the time to set yourself up for success. First thing you're going to do when it comes to hiring and recruitment is write a clear job description. I need you to be specific about the responsibilities, qualifications, and expectations. This isn't just for attracting the right candidate. It also ensures you're clear about what it is you're looking for and what it is this person's going to be doing. So, small business owner, if you're not using ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, one of those tools right now, oh my goodness sakes, get on it. So I would get in there and say, I am a small business owner and currently I do, the following tasks, but I'm wanting to hire a person for that task. Help me to write a job description that would be comprehensive and would include what the day-to-day would look like for this person, what the expectations would be, what success is going to look like in the role, and the legal jargon. It's going to spit you out something that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I look a million times more formal and important than this really is. But that's what you need. We're likely not looking for a person who's never had a job before and has never heard of business before. We're looking for a person who's maybe already done this somewhere bigger and is wanting to go smaller, or someone who's maybe not working currently or working in the gig economy, working part-time. Maybe it's a college student looking for a job. So we want this to be the front view that they get of our organization. And we don't want a person to look at our organization and think, this is chaos and I'm going to come in and just clean it up, even though that is what they're going to help us do. We want them to look at it and say, this is a professional job. This is a place that I can see myself working for a period of time. And I'm excited about this. And I am going to take this to the next level. So setting up the job description is going to be the best way for them to take this seriously. The next thing I want you to look at or consider when it comes to hiring and recruitment is strategic recruitment. So let's think about where your ideal candidates spend their time. This could mean using LinkedIn. I highly recommend that. Or industry-specific job boards. There's a ton of those out there. Or even word of mouth within your own network or social network. And so let's be strategic about this. We don't want to just make a posting out there in the world. Let's say Facebook job ads, even though those are out there, those are free. You're going to get a bunch of randos, I'm telling you, and a bunch of spam if you just do that. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying just think about strategically what it is you're looking for. One of the best ways you can find a great hire is to put something thoughtful together, a paragraph explaining the role, what a person would do. Think about attaching that job description and then emailing directly a number of your peers, friends, business network, and say like, hey, I'm looking for my first hire or my 6th hire or whatever, or this is the most strategic hire that I've had in my business. Do you know of anyone? That's going to be your best way to find somebody amazing. And then also post it widely to the masses. But just think about how you can be targeted in this approach. And then you're going to find a person that you have a much higher level of success and sustainability with. The third and final step when it comes to this hiring and recruitment aspect for your, solopreneur who's scaling or your small business is thinking about your structured interviews. So many of us, when we're small, we're literally just like sitting down, having a cup of coffee, having one phone call, or sometimes not even that much, which is scary. and making a job offer. We want to think through what a structured interview process is going to look like. I recommend having a consistent set of questions that align with the role. So here's a hack. Once you've got OpenAI, they created your job description for you. After that job description is created, I would go ahead and say, give me a list of 10 to 15 questions that I should ask during a structured interview process that would help me find the right person for this role. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Like, that's going to be the great way to do this. But if you're an organization that has a few people and you're wanting to make sure that you've got like some situational interview questions, my business Salt and Light Advisors has structured hiring guides, and I'll make sure that we put a link to those. But just making sure that you're consistent in your interview process is going to be great. Here's just like a quick down and dirty rudimentary thing that I recommend. So you do a phone interview, which is going to be a couple of quick questions, or you're going to do a structured, I put together in a Word document, asking them a couple of, let's say 5 to 10 general questions, why they want to work there, what they want their shift to look like, their expectations, direct experience. So that way you can kind of weed through without even having that initial phone call. I also ask for a up to 60-second video clip of why it is they want to work for this organization, why they're connecting with it, why they're excited. That helps you see their communication skills before you even schedule an interview. And then once they go through, let's say that questionnaire, they send that interview, quick 60-second video, and they've sent you their resume. Then after you've got like that really good snapshot, then you can schedule either a video interview or an in-person interview. But that's how I would set up my structured interview process, and then use those structured interview questions during either the phone screen or putting it in that Word doc, and then also have structured interview questions for that either on-site or video chat interview. Bam. There is your structured interview process. This is going to help eliminate bias and ensure you're evaluating everyone equally. And I would say for me, I am an introverted person, but I'm pretty good with communication. And so I interview well. Not everyone does. You might miss out on that amazing employee or next counterpart to your business because that person doesn't like wow you or charm you. But do you want them to be your next best friend, or do you want them to be the next great employee who's going to put their head down and crush it for your business? So these structured interview processes are what's going to make sure you find the right person. Putting thought into your hiring process, you're not just going to be filling a seat, you're bringing someone into your vision. So that hiring and recruitment piece, that first aspect, let's take some time to build that out before we just go bananas and post a role and then find somebody random. Okay, second thing I want you to do is think about your onboarding process. Now, again, you're probably like, Kerri, I'm small. Everybody fends for themselves. We're not going to have a structured onboarding process. I want to challenge you on this. Just like I was saying with not having a good job description and setting that stage up professionally, if you don't have a good onboarding process, you're going to wonder why your person's not performing. And I'm going to tell you it's your fault. So once you've made your hire, the next step is onboarding. And trust me, this is where the real magic happens. So I'd recommend you set up, and this is going to sound like overkill to you, but stick with me here, set up a welcome program. You want to make your new hire feel like they've joined a team that cares, that has intentionality, that's ready for them. This could be as simple as a personalized welcome email or a first day lunch, but you're going to want to take this seriously. I am a small but mighty team. I have 3 full-time people on my team right now at my consulting firm. So I am a small business and I have a welcome program. Essentially, I've got my EA who sets up a, structured onboarding segment with every new hire. So let's say my newest hire was my marketing coordinator. So I had Brittany, my executive assistant, set up chunks of time with me, and we outlined what I was going to cover with that person during each chunk of time. And then I talked to Brittany about like what it is that she could help with when it comes to onboarding, whether it's setting them up with all of their technology that they need, showing them through how to track their timesheets, talking them through how it is that we best work together, mapping out what team meetings look like and expectations for this role, what metrics they need to prepare for, and where it is that they find those and at what cadence. Like Brittany did all of that, my executive assistant. And then I met with them and I said, here's the vision, the mission, the values. Here's our branding guide, the organization that set this up with me. Here are the logos, how you use each of those, the colors, how you use each of those, the fonts, how you use each of those, my vision for social media, what our email marketing schemes look like, on and on and on, like how we want to utilize video, how we want to use our written language, what hashtags look like. Like I went through all of this, and this was through a matter of weeks. You don't have to do it all on the first day, but then you also have to tailor your expectations for that person based off of what you've shared with them. I also said in your first month, I want you to focus on these things. And essentially for my marketing coordinator, I said, I want you to get in and get a good cadence in social media. We use Plan That for all of our posting. We use Flowdesk for our email marketing. And then I went through each of the platforms and what my goals were for each of those platforms. And then we went through Canva, which is how we create a lot of our graphics and what we would use those for. And so here are my thoughts and visions. And here's the timeline in which I expect that you would master each of these areas. Once you get each of these areas mastered, which for me was in the first 90 days, then after you cross over your first 90 days, I'm going to expect to see some process improvement. And so right now, since she's crossed over her first 90 days, now we're doing a deep dive on, okay, Flowdesk is our email marketing tool. Is this the right one for us? Tell me the pros and cons. Plan That currently is how we schedule out our social media posts. How's it working for you? And what do you recommend? What other tools do you think would work better? And then in the future, how do we want to take our CRM to the next level? We use Plan That, but it's pretty rudimentary when it comes to a CRM. So what do we want to use in the future? Let's talk about current spend. Let's talk about future spend and goals. So we set all of that up. We set all of meetings up. And then we also bulleted inside of each one of those meetings what we were going to cover. So that way I stay on track. That way the new hire stays on track. And that way my EA can help us continually move through the process. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to a welcome program. We also scheduled when they were going to meet with the other HR consultants, when our first team meetings were, and the expectations of those. We got those calendared out for the rest of the year. And I also sent a written note to that person's home. I made sure that the first time that we were going to be meeting together, which wasn't on their first day, it was several weeks in, what I was going to give her. As far as like swag, I had like a branded ink pen and a notebook, y'all. It wasn't anything really big, but I was like, okay, at this juncture, I'm going to be giving this person some things. And then what does it look like moving forward? That is what I'm talking about when it comes to a welcome program. I'm not saying it's a ton of pomp and circumstance. I'm just saying it's intentionality. The next thing when it comes to onboarding is role-specific training. So setting your employees up for success by giving them the tools and the knowledge they need to hit the ground running. And then early engagement, like I've talked about within those first 90 days, setting small, achievable goals. This gives them early wins and helps them feel productive, but it also just doesn't make them think like, I didn't want my new marketing coordinator coming in and like immediately changing everything. Even though I've only been in business for a little under 2 years, there's some method to the madness on what we're doing. So even though she has done marketing, let's say for larger organizations, she was with a university, she's been with a publicly traded company. I honor that, but I also have some reasons and some intentionality on why I've done what I've done. So my expectation was you're going to come in and you're going to learn what we've done so far in the first 90 days. Then that looks like success. Then we're going to like enhance this. So a great onboarding experience builds confidence and loyalty from day one. And it also helps eliminate my frustration. If she would have come in on the very first day and started saying like, well, I would use this and I would use that, I would be like, okay, sis, but here's what we currently do. Have you taken the time to like learn that, not miss a beat on our current processes, understand truly the method to the madness, and then explain in the future how we can take this to the next level with my small business budget in mind. Like if I wouldn't have taken the time to explain all that, she might have come in like a little bull in a china cabinet, and then I would have been frustrated. So this sets us both up for success. So we've talked about hiring and recruitment. We've talked about onboarding. Now let's talk about employee reward and recognition. And again, just like onboarding, you're probably going to be like, we're a small team. I make sure I give the appropriate pats on the back. But I hope you've seen this theme of intentionality. So we're going to keep diving deeper into this. People want to feel valued, whether you are a small business, whether that is your very first hire or it's your 25th. And this doesn't always mean handing out bonuses. So just thinking through when it comes to employee reward and recognition, this includes fair compensation. I recommend that you do your research and ensure that your pay is competitive. This might seem like a big upfront cost, but it pays off in loyalty and performance. So for my new hires, I took several things into consideration. Not just allow, I encourage, this is the way I set up my business, that we're going to work remotely. I also set up very clear expectations of what that looks like. So you work fully remote, but I expect that once a quarter, we're going to get together in person and dedicate some time. Now, I set those far in advance because a lot of who I hire are stay-at-home moms. Two of the three have kids that aren't even in school. So maybe they do some kind of like part-time service or daycare or preschool type thing, or maybe they don't. So I need to make sure that they have that schedule far in advance, because just because they stay at home with their kids doesn't mean that we're never going to get together. For me, I hire folks from Missouri, kind of across the state, because that's where I'm located. And the expectation is we're going to rotate those team meetings. I rotate them anywhere between St. Louis, Missouri, Columbia, Missouri, and Hannibal, Missouri, because I'm in Northeast, but I'm going to travel as well to come to them. And so we're going to set those up, and I want everyone to schedule those and make sure that we're going to be together. This is important to me once a quarter. Not to mention, we schedule team photo shoots to keep our social media fresh around those team meetings. So once a quarter, we also do updated photos. And no, that's not just because I'm a girly company. That's because if you look at the data, fresh social media captures attention and more eyeballs and more engagement. And so I know we have to have those working photos. I'm not using any stock images. Actually, we create our own stock images. And so we put photos around that. And you guys, my social media speaks for itself. It's highly engaged and it's beautiful. If you look into my Instagram for my consulting company, Salt Night Advisors, or even for Don't Waste the Chaos, which is the podcast that you're currently listening to, it's a great aesthetic. And that's because we do photo shoots every 3 months without fail. That's an investment that I make. But when it comes to compensation, I'm like, okay, you work remotely. So I'm taking this into consideration. Like my marketing coordinator, she gets to fully work from home except for 1 day a quarter. So I look at that from a small business owner. I'm like, that's a huge perk. So when I'm thinking of compensation, I'm making sure that I was selling to her, you get ultimate flexibility. You tell me what hours that you work in a day. I let you know what projects that I want done, and a roundabout based on time studies in the past, how many hours I think that will take. And so you have ultimate flexibility inside of that. That's a huge perk. So I don't have to pay top market value because I offer top market flexibility, which is part of my fair compensation plan. I look at it more of like a top compensation plan. I just know I don't have to pay top dollar because I offer other perks. When it comes to recognition programs, I'm making sure that I'm celebrating the wins, both big and small. This could be something as formal as an Employee of the Month award or as casual as shout outs during team meetings. I also do small things like, let's say, for example, one of my employees her husband works on catastrophic storms. When he's gone, I know that's a lot for her. She has two small littles. And so when I find out that he's gone, which I find out because her work schedule changes and I want that for her, I want her to have that flexibility, but I'll send her a little something straight from Amazon that's like activity kits for her two littles. That helps her, one, be able to focus on work, but two, know that I care about her and her personal life. I know she's more than just like a team member for me. And so that's part of like that recognition, recognizing who she is as a person, and then sending her a little like gift set. That's not anything big, but it's very thoughtful and intentional. And for a small business owner, those are things that I do that set myself apart from a big corporation who has no idea who those people are as people at home, unless they have really good managers, which they should. Then also think about non-monetary benefits. Like I've mentioned, flexible work hours, professional development opportunities, or even just simple thank yous go a long way. I love thinking about abstract things we can do. Like if you're a small business owner, there are a ton of things you can do in the way of employee benefits. You're probably thinking like, oh, I can't afford formal healthcare. Actually, yes, you can. There's a ton of things that you can do around this, but I put together a package and then I fund it. I do something called a lifestyle spending account. I fund that with $350 a year. And no, like, is that a ton of money? No, but that's something that's like a great benefit for my employees. They can use this for, if you're watching on video, you probably always see my Aura ring. Right now on video, you're seeing my excellent post-holiday nails, which I'm getting ready to get changed tomorrow. But anyway, I religiously wear an Aura ring. These rings are around $350. So annually, I put money into this lifestyle spending account so I could fund a new Aura ring for them every year if they wanted that. Or they could buy that one year, and then the next year they can use that $350 to pay for their monthly, $50 a month gym subscription or whatever it is they want to spend it on. I fund that lifestyle spending account. They could also use it from the fair marketplace, like a fee for Stride, which is individual healthcare plans that they can get from the open marketplace. And while that's not going to fund it for them their whole year, if it's $70 a month off the, fair marketplace, then I'm at least paying for a number of months for them for a dental plan or a vision plan or their individual health or their teen, if they want individual coaching for their teen, or if they want to get a membership to Better Health, which is online counseling. There's tons of things that I can personally fund to that lifestyle spending account that they get to spend that on. And that's really cool. Like $350 a year can go, like, let's say 6 months worth of counseling or whatever that looks like. I am thinking creatively. So remember, recognition isn't just a nice to have. It's a strategic move to be able to recruit better people or to retain your team. So we've talked about recruitment and hiring. We've talked about onboarding. We've talked about employee reward and recognition. Let's talk about employee satisfaction and engagement. Happy employees are productive employees. And here are some simple ways to prioritize satisfaction, even if you've got a small but mighty team like mine. I would implement regular feedback loops. I would ask your team how they're feeling, what's working, and what could improve. This can be done through one-on-one check-ins, making sure that you've got your regular meetings scheduled throughout the month. Don't just say like, oh yeah, we're fluid. I've got Microsoft Teams. Like they can reach out to me anytime. We text all the time. Like I'm telling you, that's not enough. You need to have a regular meeting set up so that way they know when they can reach out to you. They can reach out to you at any time. Yes, that's important. Open door policies, like we all say it, but also everyone gets busy with work. So schedule that set up time, that standardized time, so they know that they've got time to talk to you through that. Or you can even do anonymous surveys. I am implementing some Survey Monkey feedback for my team this year. And sure, like we're super small, but like maybe they don't feel comfortable saying like, Kerri, you ought to do more, or here's some ways that we can improve, or this was what was really hard for me this last year. If they don't feel comfortable telling me that, I'd like to say they do, but maybe they don't. And so I'm implementing anonymous surveys that will come right back to me and I can read through those and I can improve with those. Or it'll be affirming too, like, oh, this is something that they really love. I didn't even know that was that big of a deal. I need to make sure I continue to do that. We also need to make sure when it comes to employee satisfaction and engagement, we are offering clear communication. Transparency fosters trust. So you need to share your business goals and involve your team in problem solving. Every single month, we talk through my prospect list, who all I'm talking to, and that creates hype, right? It also helps my team to understand like, oh, Kerri's talking to, let's say, a small private school, a lumber yard in Southern Missouri, a law firm in the Southwest. Like, okay, this helps my marketing person to be like, oh, this is the type of client that she's talking to. So this is the type of communication style I need to have with my marketing. Or my EA is like, oh, she's talking to all those people. I need to set up time on her calendar to make sure she's doing follow-ups. Like this involves our team in our goals and where the business is going. So just be transparent on what it is that you're working on and further initiatives. Not to mention, don't forget you've got these humans that you're paying to work on your team. Like if I bring something up, they might be like, oh, my EA worked in a bank in her past life, and she also was a school teacher. So she has ideas on what she's seen in the marketplaces she's worked in that she can bring to the table. I want to involve them in problem solving. I also want to make sure that we're being intentional when it comes to growth opportunities, showing our employees that they have a future with our organization, even if our organization's small. Like right now, I don't have a need for a marketing director that's going to have 5 people under them, but I might have this marketing coordinator that has more opportunity for growth. And so I can invest in her development. I want her to know, like, if she wants to go to the annual, let's say, HubSpot marketing conference in Las Vegas, if she came to me and said, here's what I think I would learn from this, Here's how I think it would further the business. Like, here's how it would personally impact me, but professionally impact me. I'm open to that. So I want my team to know, like, I am open to investing in your growth and development. So come to me with ways that you can grow and enhance. And I also make sure I set that standard by saying, like, for example, I sent my EA the other day a webinar and I was like, hey, it's about how to get me booked on other people's podcasts. And I saw this webinar pop up and it's like, how to do this or whatever. So I sent it to Brittany, my EA, and was like, hey, would you be willing to take this? Now she's going to learn. It's a webinar. It's a training that she can do, but it's going to help the business. And hopefully that's also going to help her think like, oh, I can take training in areas that I'm interested in. So maybe she'll send me something and say like, hey, Kerri, would you be willing to let me take this? Yes. Hey, Kerri, this is a book that I'd like to read. Hey, let me ship it to your home address. Yeah, I'd love for you to take it and share with me what you've learned. These are ways that we can focus on growth opportunities, even with our small but mighty teams. Okay, next thing that we want to focus on are policies and procedures. Of course, you knew I was going to talk about this, but this is where many small businesses overlook crucial details. Having clear policies helps you stay consistent and protects your business. This is things like handbooks and manuals, consistent enforcement, and legal compliance. So even if you only have 1 or 2 employees, I want you to document your workplace policies, your benefits, your procedures. This avoids confusion and sets clear expectations. So I want you just to say, like we were talking about recruitment and hiring, I want you just to write out a 1-pager. Hey, when it comes time for an open role, this is what we do. This is the process. These are the questions that we ask. This is the step-by-step, procedure that we do. Here's who owns each step in the process. When it comes to my employee reward and recognition, here's how I set fair compensation. And here's how we're going to be intentional with rewarding and recognizing the wins. And when it comes to employee growth and development, I have let's say I have a $2,500 annual budget for everyone. I know that seems low, but like if you don't have one, then you are going to spend nothing on it, or you might spend more than you mean to because you don't set a clear expectation. So, hey, employee population, I'm going to spend $2,500 on your growth and development. So if you see, I'm going to preach on this for just a minute. Let's say I'm willing to spend $2,500 a year on my entire team, not each person, my entire team. That might seem like a really small dollar amount, but I guarantee you, if you've got people who know that you're a small business owner and understand the budget, they're probably never going to ask you to spend money on their growth and development because they're like, I know I work for a small business and I know every dime matters. And so I'm not going to ask for that. You're going to end up spending zero. And guess what? Are your people are going to grow and develop? I don't know, maybe, but probably not. And so if you say, hey, annually, I'm willing to spend $2,500. So I've got 3 people, divide that by 3, and this is what you can spend. I guarantee you the probability of them to grow and develop is going to be higher because they're like, I get $750 of that or whatever their piece of the pie is. They're going to go out and look in the new year of like what they could spend that money on, of how they can grow and develop because they don't feel bad because they know that you budgeted for it. So document it. Just set clear expectations. This avoids confusion and sets those clear expectations and helps your people step up to the table. I also, when I talk about consistent enforcement, this doesn't mean like you've got this super corporate-y, PTO policy or whatever, but I want you just to think about treating everyone the same when it comes to policies. Consistency builds trust. So I put together an employee handbook for my tiny little team. I want them all to read it and sign off on it. All of them. It doesn't matter what their role is. It doesn't matter where they came from in the past. It doesn't matter if one of my girls came from corporate America and I'm like, oh, my little handbook is whatever. Like, I don't care. This is my business. I'm going to be consistent. It doesn't matter what your role is. You're going to do the same thing. And when it comes to legal compliance, we want to make sure that we're adhering to state and federal labor laws, even if we're tiny. And this might mean consulting with an HR expert or a legal advisor. We need to do that. Like, let's spend a couple of dollars to have somebody like read over our handbook, say grace over that, give us some suggestions, point us in the right direction. Investing in this now will help us save from bigger problems, potential problems down the road, because we all want to scale, right? Like, we're probably going to scale. And so we want to make sure we're paying attention to this. Okay, next or 6th thing we want to focus on is leadership development. I talked about growth opportunities a little bit. I've talked about how we can budget this and be consistent. So just to drive this home, as a small business owner, you set the tone for leadership, but you don't have to do it all alone. Let's think about training programs. Even if you're new to managing people, there are countless resources to help you grow as a leader. If you're listening to this podcast episode right now or watching me on YouTube, congratulations. This is part of your training. I would tune in every single Tuesday if I were you to Don't Waste the Chaos, because I'm putting this kind of content out there. But whatever podcast it is you listen to or a YouTube channel that you subscribe to, just make sure you're being consistent. Read some books. If you didn't read one of my mentors, I pay monthly, is Dan Martell. He wrote the book, Buy Back Your Time. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you read that book. I will link it in the show notes, but invest in something and be consistent. And also think about mentorship opportunities. Encourage collaboration and learning amongst your team, and also make sure that you have a mentor. And it doesn't have to be one person that you're connecting with. Like, I've got Dan Martell that I pay, and I've also got Kelly Howe, who's my tapping coach, and also helps me with a number of things. She does human design for me, helps me to step fully into my specific quirks or power. And so I'm investing in a couple of different areas. If you didn't listen to Kelly's previous podcast episode, make sure you tune in. I'm going to have her again on the pod in 2025. She's excellent. But make sure that you're being mentored, and then think about for your team what you could help them with in that area. And then also talk through decision-making frameworks. So develop a system for making fair and efficient and effective decisions for yourself and your team. For example, I just wrote a really long email this morning. I had said, like, to my marketing coordinator, hey, this is something that I want to focus on in the new year. Do a little research. She did a little research, and I was like, okay, just to let you know, here are the things when it comes to research that I would want you to think through, so we have lots of context to make good decisions. And I just kind of walked her through, like, here's what you did. Here's where I would expand on this. Strong leadership is the backbone of a healthy team. Take the time to invest in your people. Take the time to invest in yourself. Okay, seventh area I want us to focus on is talent management and development. To retain top talent, to recruit top talent, to retain top talent, we need to focus on their growth. Skills assessments is one area that you can identify where your team excels and where they need support. Succession planning, even in a small business, is smart to plan for key roles and responsibilities. What I did was I started out with a very, very part-time person who could help me out with everything, who could be an EA, also help me out with some marketing stuff. When it was time for me to get bigger, I asked her, do you want to be an EA or do you want to work on marketing? Because I need to expand in this area. And she was like, actually, I'm also a realtor. I also own a clothing boutique. It was not time for her to do that. So then I hired an EA and a marketing person. Well, once I took a look at both of those roles, I had hired, people who were kind of dabbling in those areas. And then I was like, okay, next iteration of this are people who have these skills and experiences that they've done in the past. So I'm either going to invest in my people and get them there, or I'm going to hire my next person who is skilled in that area. That's how I did succession planning. It's not anything huge and formal. It's not a big Excel spreadsheet or whatever. It's not a software I had to purchase. It's just being strategic of how I get to the next level. And also considering personalized growth plans. Help your team members see a future with your company by aligning their goals with your business objectives and helping them see how to get there. This kind of intentional development fosters loyalty and reduces turnover because they see the method and the madness. Okay, eighth and final thing that we want to focus on, and I mentioned this a little bit when it comes to benefits administration and employee wellness, but these are areas, whether it's in 2025 when you're listening to this or any time, that people care about. Don't underestimate the power of a well-rounded benefits and wellness program, even when you're tiny, even when you're small but mighty. Let's think about comprehensive benefits. Offer packages that meet your team's needs. This doesn't have to be expensive. This could be small perks that make a big impact. If you can't afford health insurance, which I would say you probably can't if you're a small business, then think about okay, if Anytime Fitness, if a membership is $49 a month, then I take $50 times 12. Could I spend $50 times 12? So we're looking at $600. Could I say, I'm willing to spend $600 a year on my employees? And so my benefit is that I offer paid gym memberships up to $600 a year. That's a wonderful benefit. I told you I do $350. So I'm essentially paying for half of that. And that's what I'm willing to do right now. And so I'm willing to pay 6 months of your gym membership, or I'm willing to buy you your one Aura ring this year, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be massively comprehensive, just small perks that can make a big impact. Next is work-life balance initiatives, encouraging boundaries and respecting your team's time. I used to be in corporate America really big on texting my team all hours of the day and night, emailing them all hours of the day and night. In my new team, I don't do that with my people. I just don't. I've just decided it's not that serious. I'm just not going to do that. That was silly to do in corporate America. It was modeled for me. I kept doing it. The buck stops here. I'm honoring my team's time. And then think about wellness programs, like providing tools and resources that promote physical and mental health for your team. It could even be something as simple as when we're on team meetings, I try to make sure that I'm always talking about something that I'm doing for my health. You're always going to catch me during a team meeting, like eating one of these, I am not sponsored, but eating one of these Symbiotica packages. If you're not watching me on video, I've got a vitamin C package here and a magnesium package. Always on my team meetings because I have idle hands. I'm sitting there eating one of those. I talk about those. I talk about my sourdough journey. I talk about physically what I'm doing to stay fit and healthy. I'm promoting that to my team. It's not anything huge and astronomical. It's just that if my team feels supported in this way, then they are going to give their best in return. Okay, so those were the key 8 areas that I think that you need to be focusing on when you are either a solopreneur who's scaling or a small business who's looking to grow. So we're focusing on our hiring and recruitment, our onboarding, our employee reward and recognition, our employee satisfaction and engagement, our policies and procedures, our leadership development, talent management and development, and benefits administration and employee wellness. There you have it, 8 foundational areas that are going to set your small business up for HR and people success. So whether you're adding your first hire or scaling an existing team, these principles are your roadmap to creating a workplace that attracts, retains, and inspires great people. If you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, share it with a fellow small business owner, and leave a review. And if you're looking for personalized HR support, I would love it if you'd reach out to our team at Salt and Light Advisors. We would love to help you build out your foundation for business needs. So until next time, I'm Kerri Roberts. Don't waste the chaos. Use it to build something amazing.